What it do? Bedtime crew. Hey man, listen, today I'm here with one of my favorite videos to make, predicting every pay-per-view main event of the upcoming year. So this year I'm going to be predicting every main event of 2023 on pay-per-view. So that's like UFC 297 all the way up to the last pay-per-view of the year in December, which would be like UFC 308. So we're going to go through some fire matchups, and a couple of these are going to include my predictions for upcoming fights that have been announced, as well as what I think is coming in the later part of the year. So let's get straight into this shit. I'm going to be doing a bunch of these videos, so make sure you subscribe for more shit like this as we go, but let's get straight into it. Obviously, we'll get the easy ones out the way. Here's the fucking thing, right, dude? Dracus is gonna fucking be a tough fight for me, dude, right? Listen, dude. Obviously, main event of 297 is going to be Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. Sick fight. They've got the WWE fucking promo to start off the hype, and the build-up's going to be crazy. I feel like the real people's main event is obviously Raquel Pennington versus Mira Bueno Silva, but officially on paper, in the words of Anthony Smith, on paper, this is the main event. Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis. Let's move on. 298. All right, listen, yeah, I'm the top of guy. I'm going to be main eventing in February, you know. We got Volk versus Taporia. Another sick fight as well, dude. I mean, we got this on the card. I'm pretty sure that Paulo Costa, Robert Whittaker's on this card as well. There's a bunch of banger fights in the works for 298, 299. And some of them are coming through for 300 as well. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, main event of 298, it's going to be a sick fight. It's either going to be Volkanovski's redemption or the beginning of the new age at featherweight. And I'm fucking hyped for this shit, dude. And you're going to get my prediction for this fight later on when one of these guys comes back for another pay-per-view main event. But that's 298. 299 in Miami, we got Sean O'Malley, the bantamweight champion, versus Chito Vera. Guys, if you've been following me for any amount of time, you know my thoughts on Chito Vera. I swear to fucking God, if Chito Vera wins this fight, dude, I'm deleting my YouTube channel, bro. I'm doing a face reveal or I'm deleting my channel. Those are my options if Chito Vera wins this fight. I cannot stand the way this guy fights. Listen, as a person, I think he's a more respectable man than Sean O'Malley, right? That, at the end of the day, it's who's it for me? What's it for me to say, right? But just so people don't think that I'm like, letting my girl go on Tinder and shit, you know what I'm saying? but dude, in terms of the fighting styles, fuck, dude, I just can't have Chito as champ because he's just the flukiest fucker ever, dude. Like, this guy literally was losing to Dominic Cruz and Frankie. Imagine losing to Frankie Edgar, dude. That would suck so bad. So Sean O'Malley better win this shit, dude. All right, that's my main event of 299 in Miami. Going to be a great fight. Let's move on to UFC 300. This is the first kind of my prediction or my idea for the reveal in this video. UFC 300 is going to be taking place in, I believe, April. It's not looking like it's going to be Conor McGregor. It's not looking like it's going to be a lot of the title fights that we're looking for. I do think Islam Makhachev versus Gaethje or Oliveira might be it, but I could see that happening on the Saudi Arabia show in March, I think. I think that's in March. I feel like that fight night is going to get headlined by Makhachev somehow. I feel like it's going to be him as the main event versus Gaethje or Oliveira, and I think you're going to see like Dariush on the card, and you're going to see or maybe you'll see Sarukian on the card versus somebody else. And I think it's going to be a pretty stacked fight night. Maybe Shara Bullet on the main card. But yeah, dude, as for UFC 300, I think it's looking like it's going to be this. I'm just going to say it's going to be that. Tom Aspinall versus It's going to be Aspinall versus Pereira, dude, for the interim heavyweight title. Now, do I think this is a good idea? No. But do I think this might happen? Yes. So my prediction for UFC 300 in 2024, it's going to be Aspinall versus Pereira as the main event. And I think a good co-main event would be Weili Zhang versus Alexa Grasso. I think Yuri Proska versus Rakic will get on the main card, but the other fights that have been announced, like Aljo versus Keita, that's going on the fucking prelims, dude. Like, Dana's going to be having a field day putting fucking Aljo on the prelims. He'll probably try and get somebody else that he hates to put on the prelims, dude. So we're gonna have the main event be Aspinall versus Pereira, international flair, banger undercard as well. I'm looking forward to UFC 300, and this will be a fun fight, even if it is the main event. I don't think the trash talk will be very good, but be a sick matchup, and I think it'd be pretty brutal the way it ends. All right, so that's 300. Let's move on to UFC 301, which would be in May. All right, that's the next month. I think this is going to be an international pay-per-view. Usually in like March, April, May, the UFC goes international with their cards. All of these first three are within North America. First four, are within North America. So for UFC 301, we're going to go to the UK. Bro, that's nine. That's nine Bilal Muhammad matchups in a row, bro. I don't want to fucking fight this guy, bro. I want to fight Gilbert Burns, bro. Leon Edwards, he's gonna be forced to take on the GOAT Bilal Muhammad, and in the UK, I think they could put together a really good card for that, honestly. And if they get a better main event for UFC 300, you could put Tom Aspinall on this card as the co-main event, maybe against Stipe or against, Cyril Gane or some shit like that, right? And I do think Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad will main event a pay-per-view because the UFC loves to just fill in that little gap between UFC, like the big fight at the start of the year and then International Fight Week. They like to just go, oh, fuck it, Amanda Nunes main event. So I think instead of Amanda Nunes, we'll get Leon Edwards, Bilal Muhammad. They'll just go, ah, fuck it, put in the UK, put Paddy Pimblett in the co-main, and that'll be that. UFC 301, we're going to get Bilal Muhammad versus Leon Edwards. All right, let's move on to UFC 302. All right, now, for 302, I was thinking long and hard, and I was, pause, and I was thinking, all right, what title fights are there left? And I do think that one of the fighters from an early pay-per-view in the year will come back around and defend his title against a returning superstar. I think we're going to get Dricus du Plessis defending his newly won middleweight belt against Israel Adesanya in either Australia or Africa this year. I think we're going to get Dricus versus Izzy headlining a pay-per-view either in Australia, New Zealand, or Africa. I think that's the move. I think Dana's talking about UFC Africa more and more. I could see like Wonderboy versus Usman in the co-main event. Themba Gorimbo on the card. They've got heaps of guys that they can put on this shit. And I do think Dricus versus Izzy is the money fight. If Strickland beats Dricus, for some reason, I don't think they'll do Izzy versus Sean too. So I could be completely wrong, but I think it's going to be Dricus who wins the belt and he's going to defend this title against Izzy in the middle part of the year. All right, let's move on to International Fight Week. We've got UFC 303, and there is only one fight that I think is going to happen in July 2024. It's going to be a long wait, but I think it'll be a money fight when it happens. They will finally do it. It will be Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler, UFC 303 International Fight Week. I know what you're saying. That's a long fucking wait, dude. That's a long wait. We're supposed to get this shit in April this year. We're supposed to get this shit in December, and now we have to wait till July. That's how UFC works, dude. Like, you'll see that again later on in this. That's how Dana works. He doesn't give a fuck, bro. He'll make Chandler sit out for 2 fucking years if he has to. And I think Conor McGregor's happy to just kind of like sit on the sidelines, just train and get given the perfect opportunity to fight Chandler. I'm sure he wants to get back in there, but I don't think he wants to just say, give me anybody, especially with some of the guys at the top of the lightweight division and welterweight divisions. Michael Chandler is definitely his best bet to get to a title shot. So I think we will get Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler, International Fight Week, huge card, probably Bo Nicholas co-main event or some shit like that. UFC 303 in July. That's what it's going to be. Let's move on to UFC 304. Okay, we're looking around the US, because usually the UFC goes international for a couple months, they go back to Vegas, then they're kind of floating around America, then they obviously go Abu Dhabi, New York, Las Vegas at the end of the year. So I'm going to do a Salt Lake City card because the UFC's been loving those lately, and I think headlining Salt Lake City at UFC 304, we're going to see Alex Pereira come back down to light heavyweight and finally fight Jamahal Hill. The fight at UFC 300, if he fights on the card either against Israel Adesanya in a trilogy or if he fights against Aspinall, which is what people are saying is going to happen, if he loses that fight, he's the type of guy that's going to turn around right away. We saw it. When he lost to Izzy, he turned around and I remember when that happened, I was like, oh yeah, they're going to fight at UFC, 290. I was like, they're going to turn around and fight at like UFC 296 or fight at 295 at MSG. And Pereira's like, nah, fuck that. I'm moving up to 205 in 2 months. See you there. So Alex Pereira doesn't give a fuck. If he gets chinned by Aspinall or Adesanya, which I don't think he would get chinned by Izzy, but if he gets chinned by Aspinall at UFC 300, I can see him coming back like 3 months later and just being like, fuck it, give me Jamahal Hill, Sham. So I think UFC 304 in Salt Lake City, we're going to see Jamahal Hill versus Alex Pereira. That's an interesting matchup as with the elevation as well. But let's move on to UFC 305. This is September, I believe. And in September, basically, you can do whatever you want. All right? That sounds really sketchy. All right? You can do whatever the fuck you want in September, basically, if you're the UFC. You know, you've done Salt Lake City, you've done your Vegas International Fight Week, you've done your Miami, blah, 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 blah. You could put this fight anywhere. So I'm thinking, let's go back to Florida. It's UFC 305, bro. I'm pretty sure that's representing Florida in some way. I remember some interviewer asking Dana about that, and he was like, yeah, we'll fucking do. We'll go back to Florida for 305. So for the 305, I'm going to put together a banger main event. It's going to be a rematch. I'm going to say Ilia Topuria beats Volkanovski at 298, and we get the rematch at UFC 305 in Jacksonville. Main eventing the pay-per-view, Ilia Topuria versus Volkanovski to the rematch for the featherweight title. I can just see this being a Jacksonville card where they fight each other again, and I think it's going to be a huge fight. And yeah, dude, I think that's going to be 305. All right, let's talk about the big three to finish off the year. We've got Abu Dhabi, we've got MSG, and we've got the December Vegas pay-per-view. All three are guaranteed to be fucking bangers, or they better be bangers, is what I'm saying. They better be fucking heaters, all right? And we're going to start off crazy. When I made these fights, I was thinking, what would I want to open up Instagram and be like, bro, these are the last three pay-per-views of the year. Like, you know those posts that were going around of like, we got Oliveira Makhachev, we've got Strickland Adesanya, we've got O'Malley Sterling, we've got all, you know what I mean? Like, they're showing the banger fights we've got coming. I wanted to start this off with a bang. I want to say in Abu Dhabi, we're going to get Islam Makhachev taking on Leon Edwards for double champ status. It could be Bilal Muhammad as well, but for right now, so people don't click off the video, I'm going to put Leon Edwards versus Leon Edwards. I just went Curtis Blades mode. We're going to put Leon Edwards versus Islam Makhachev for the welterweight title in Abu Dhabi, October 2024. This would be a ginormous fucking fight, dude. If you put two of these guys defending their belts earlier in the year, like Leon defends in May, Islam defends in February or March, and then they fight in October in Abu Dhabi, that's going to sell a lot of pay-per-views, dude. There's going to be a lot of international fans dying to see this fight, and I think this is a huge opportunity for the UFC to have Islam be better than Khabib. If he wins double champ status, he has surpassed Khabib 110%. He's already on track to pass Khabib with some good title defenses. If he takes out Gaethje, if he takes out Oliveira again, I think Islam, if he gets double champ status in October in Abu Dhabi, that's going to be one of the biggest moments in UFC history. So 306, Abu Dhabi, Leon Edwards versus Islam Makhachev. Brother, we have to check this, brother. If this fight don't happen, brother, we have to check the remaining UFC schedule, brother. Okay, let's talk UFC 307, MSG. All right. Now, I was looking through the UFC roster. I'm thinking, all right, I've used up pretty much every division. I'm not putting a women's title fight headlining MSG because I know how the UFC works. They will not do that, especially now without Nunes. It's going to be really hard to sell pay-per-views off like, oh, we're going to do Grasso, Shevchenko. I think fights like that are going to be headlining fight nights more often than pay-per-views now. I think we're going to see like Alexa Grasso defend her belt on a fight night in Mexican Independence Day again. I think that's going to be more the strategy UFC uses. I think Weili Zhang versus Yan Xiaonan will happen in like a UFC China fight night rather than a pay-per-view. So for the headliner of UFC 307, I remembered a fight that Dana said was 100% going to happen in 2024 that we're all fucking forgetting about. That's probably going to happen and probably going to ruin this shit. It's going to be John Jones, Stipe Miocic. They're just going to do it again a year later, bro. I was like, fuck, what do I put in MSG? Maybe McGregor. No, dude. They're going to do Jones versus Stipe for the heavyweight belt. They're going to do it. Dana's literally saying, no, we're going to wait for Stipe versus Jones. Doesn't matter what Aspinall does. We're going to do Jones versus Stipe. I think this is going to headline MSG. They're just going to book it 1 year later. They're going to do the storyline of Jones's return. You know, Stipe's on the sidelines waiting for it patiently for his revenge. You know, that's what they're going to do. And they're going to stack the undercard so that we don't get mad about this main event. So they can put together their legacy fight for John Jones and Stipe Miocic. I think this is going to headline a pay-per-view in 2024. Maybe not MSG. Sorry, I was burping. Maybe not MSG, maybe earlier in the year, but I 100% think Jones versus Stipe will get made in 2024, and we will all kind of like sigh and be like, oh, fucking, all right, fucking make the fight, dude, whatever. All right, so that's 307, that's MSG. We got one more fight. The December headliner, it has to be a banger. It has to be a banger fight. I've already used up Edwards and Makhachev. They're not fighting in December. You know, Pereira's fought twice already, probably been chinned at least once. Okay, respectfully, you know, Israel Adesanya has fought, and you know, doesn't really have anybody else to take on right now, so I'm not going to use him. There is one man that's going to headline December, and you know what? For the BMF belt, we're going to do Justin Gaethje, coming off a loss to Islam Makhachev, which may help McGregor, versus Conor McGregor coming off a win over Michael Chandler, if it happens. Conor McGregor, Justin Gaethje, BMF belt, December 2024. Banger pay-per-view main event. Stack up that fucking undercard. Maybe put O'Malley in the co-main event against Corey Sandhagen or some shit like that. Stack up the card, and that is 2024 set. So let me know what you guys think. Which pay-per-view do you most want to see that I made? Which ones do you think will definitely happen? Which ones do you think have no chance of happening? Let me know what you think. Let me know what you predict for 2024 in the comments down below. And again, make sure you subscribe, because I'm going to do predicting future champs, pound for pound list, all bold predictions for the year, all that type of shit. So make sure you subscribe for that stuff. And yeah, drop a like and comment on the video if you enjoyed it. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.